Oh yeah, we didn't do triage last week. So we didn't triage last week. So there was no PR merged. Let me check if there are some PRs. Oh, Orchard. Which one? I have that here. No, not this one. This one. Upgrade is no new PRs, no update on the PR, so that's good. And I assume Benedek would have taken care of that. So no new PRs, but Benedek was busy with Orchard.Layouts fixing code styling of element session state and removing element instance. I have no idea. Oh, element in terms of layouts. Okay. I was like, what is that? Why would you remove that?
So the whole class was actually commented out.
Why?
I don't know. It's not used.
Oh, it was commented. Okay, so it is. Okay, good. That was my question. Okay, so that is good, okay. And that is okay. Just cleaning. They upgrading YamlDotNet to 5.3.0 and dynamic snippet manifest parsing replaced with static typing. Okay, good.
Yeah, the next 3 commits are about something that we have discussed. Mm-hmm. So to be able to upgrade YamlDotNet, we had to ditch YamlDotNet.Dynamic because it's not up to date anymore. So the snippet manifest parsing had to be re-implemented basically with static typing, but actually it turned out to be very similar to the way you can say that you want to deserialize a JSON string into a specific type of object.
Yep.
So it's a very similar process. I also refactored the snippet element harvester a little bit, so so the it's still compatible with the way that you could create layout snippets without a separate manifest.
Makes sense. That's what I expected. That's why I didn't think we needed the dynamic thing, because we knew what properties we were looking for, so it was not really dynamic.
Yeah, basically that. So even if you could include stuff that isn't used, you wouldn't reference them anyway, because we are looking for specific properties, like you said. So yeah, and I tested with both ways. So actually, until 2.5 years ago, it's crazy how long it took. So until 2.5 years ago, there was one specific way you could define editor fields for a layout snippet. You could actually do that within the display template itself. So it was a really tricky but actually clever way of doing it. And then there was a PR merge that would allow you to place a TXT file next to the template that would tell you, that would actually tell Orchard about what kind of fields you can edit for the snippet. So yeah, like I said, it's still backwards compatible, but the new one that uses a YAML manifest is now using the static typing.
Good. And issues, milestone. There is nothing more to do.
Nothing more. So we can release, I think. Okay, for real now. For real, yeah.
You have the checklist.
Yeah. I deal with that. Yeah.
But we need people to test it, so at least we should ask the laser guys to test it if they can.
Oh yeah, sure. I will message them on GitHub. That's a great idea. So yeah, we should do some testing first. But whatever I did change, I always try to test as thoroughly as possible. So yeah, should we create a pre-release, or but they should just pull the source? They are using the source, I guess. So I guess we don't need a pre-release.
No. Should test. Worst case 1.10.3.1.
Yeah. Or something like that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. And that's it for status on Orchard 1, Orchard core, but I'm going there. So 7 days. Um, 7 days, these ones maybe. Let me filter first, like we do usually on origin on dev, just to see what has been merged. Actually merged. Add cancel buttons to edit field and edit typePart views. So yeah, so that the flow of creating items doesn't require us to go back from Chrome. We can just have a cancel button, and I found other locations where we will need that, just to drive back the history. Updated Dockerfile and added Docker ignore, so just updated to 2.2, I assume. Yep, because it's been shipped. And a git ignore to not shipped, to exclude everything from the image but the release folder that we need to embed. Fixing codemirror resources. Yeah, some typos in the URL. What was it? I think, yeah, it's missing a folder. Oh, yeah, it's missing a folder. Fix npm warning on functional tests. Okay. Update Bootstrap 3 version to 3.4. Okay. Upgrade Bootstrap slider to 10.4.0. Okay. Fix non-modules path in resource assets. Did I commit my stuff after that? Not sure, let me see. Probably, I will have to check. So, but I trust you. So this is based on... That's weird, I don't understand. I thought it would be... I'm not sure it's right. But when was it? When is this commit? It's 4 days ago. But if it was not right, I would have seen it. So it's... I thought it would be local to the asset.json file and not to the gulp script. Because that's how we always did, like when we wanted to target assets folder, we will do asset slash and not, so that's weird. I'll check later. Because look, you changed it, and yet there is no other file that has changed. How is that possible? So updates, same thing here. You see, you changed it, but there is no other file which is changed, so that's wrong. It can't be this way. It can't be that you change a version or location and no asset is changed. There's an issue here. This is fine. This is normal, that nothing else changed. But that is suspicious.
Yes, but it was restored in the subfolders for me.
Okay. Fixing Twitter invalid state cookie, reported by David Hayden and fixed by Michael. Good job. Is Michael here? Nope. I had a question. Actually, so we have. He made Facebook. He made Microsoft account. He made Microsoft Active Directory. He made Twitter. I don't think we have Google. Do we have Google? I didn't see. Google authentication. No, we don't have Google authentication. Interesting. Okay. Where is my page here? So fixing Twitter authentication. Fix cursor hover on edit layers button from Matthias in the layers. There was a glitch. Rename layers to zones in settings. The idea was that the settings page here was just letting us edit the list of the zones that will be available in layers, but these are not layers, these are zones. So everyone agreed on the change, and Mark changed it. Then I pushed all my PR. Yes, and then I'm like, okay, let's fix all the beta 3 issues. And during a full day, I just fixed beta 3 issues. So this one, fixing MarkdownBodyPart liquid support. Antoine had reported that some liquid tags were not working. Well, liquid tags were not working in some editors like HTML fields, parts, Markdown fields and parts. But I only could repro that in the Markdown part, so I fixed it in the Markdown part. And I tested it, and I pasted a screenshot showing that I could create images and call into liquid for all of them, so it should be fine. I hope you will agree, Antoine, this one. Then creating missing DetailAdmin templates. I don't remember what the bug was. Oh yes, sometimes because of a previous change for some reason, these views were not existing and were looked for, so I created them. DetailAdmin default content part and default widget. Okay. I think the case was when a list of, if you created a list part of something, we display the DetailAdmin for the list. And in this case, these will not work because the templates were not found. So it's fixed. Adding customer group step for beta 2, the idea being that at some point we changed a namespace for a class that we stored in SQL, so it could not find it anymore. So now when you start Orchard, it will try to look for these old namespaces and change them directly in the database. It's a method which is called in the shell descriptor manager. So when the tenant is loaded, before the migrations even happen, because the migration only happen when the shell settings are loaded. And to be able to load the shell settings, we need to update the thing. So it's independent, and I put a to-do, can be removed when going RC, as users are not supposed to go from beta 2 to RC directly. And I filed an issue to remember that. It won't be an issue if we keep it, but we can remove it at that point. Allow autoroute to be updated without custom path. So from some feedback I got on the issues, or on Gitter, I don't remember. I maybe show a demo later. So the idea is that there is a new property now on autoroute part. The issue was that there were two settings for autoroute part: the allow set homepage and allow custom path. If you say allow set homepage, there is a checkbox in the autoroute part that lets you say, oh, this is my homepage. Now this content item is the homepage. And the allow custom path would allow you to edit the path and provide a custom path. Now, if you have a pattern that might change over time, like based on a field, or you want to change it, the only way to change it or to regenerate it was to allow custom path, clear the path, and publish again. So you had to allow for a custom path to be able to regenerate the path. So I added the third option, which is now which is something. I don't have a scroll bar here. Why? That's weird. So here, update path. Yes, update path. So if you allow that, there will be a checkbox that you can check so that when you hit publish, it will regenerate the path. And it's independent from being able to edit it. It's just, it works at the same as set home page, just the checkbox, if this option is allowed, to regenerate the path. So if you change a field and you want the URL to reflect the change in the field, then you can check this box and then it will be regenerated. Adding alternate for contents metadata. Here the issue was that if you had a widget rendered as part of a flow page, if the widget had a title, its title would be added to the main title of the page, and that's not what you want. So the resolution is to, and yeah, the issue was that the contents metadata shape was rendered for all content items, and this content metadata shape was adding the title segment. I saw the bug yesterday. I'm like, I need to fix it and to understand what's the issue. And now I'm reading that this was just some test code. So the encode display tag is fine, but plus content type is wrong. It was just for me to understand where the title was coming from, which widget. And I found it after, but I forgot to remove that. So I need to remove it and it will fix the bug. So yeah, so the idea was that every content item rendered during a page will add its title, and that's not what we want for widget. So for widget now, there is an alternate with a stereotype that will let you redefine the contents metadata shape. And in this case for widget, I don't want to do anything. And here the solution was to just add a stereotype alternate for that. And I fixed documentation because there was a typo here, and also widget parts, all the previous so this is that, and it's also adding new alternates. Actually, let me show you. I'm adding new alternates using the stereotype to be able to do that. I added a new way to create templates for a specific stereotype. Like now you can say contents metadata for a content, or for a widget, or for everything. And that's why in the README I say all the previous alternates are described. If you replace content type by the stereotype, then it will also work. So if we have content type display type part name, you can also have stereotype display type part name. Why is it replacing and not in combination? It's because content is the default, so we assume it's the content here, content stereotype. But if you have a widget with the same content type, with a content type, either you target the type, and you don't care it's a widget or content, it has one stereotype, or you target anything from a stereotype. That's why you don't need to. You don't say widget and content type. Doesn't make sense. Content type is either a widget or not. You don't have to repeat widget. And the implicit stereotype being content. And that's it for this thing. Fixing again a beta 3 issue. Adding more render section overrides because issues. Because someone was trying to, I think it was Mark was trying to use sections and layouts, and one of the overrides of section he was using was not redefined in our own Razor base, Razor page, which means it was trying to access the one from MVC, but our layout template is a view. And the method he was trying to access from MVC was checking that you are actually in actual MVC layout, so it was failing. So what I had to do was to add some overrides for render section, which themselves call RenderSection async, which is the one you're supposed to call. Okay, never call RenderSection. This is just to prevent an issue in MVC, that MVC will fail when you're doing that, but you're supposed to call RenderSection async. Otherwise, it will just do a get await or get result over RenderSection async. So there is no reason to call RenderSection. And same thing for the base result page. And actually, I removed one which was unnecessary. Yes, this one is actually necessary because in the page you can't be a layout, so you can't render any section. So that doesn't make sense. So I removed it. Fix content picker error when content item is unpublished. I think we saw a demo last week. Oh, we talked about it. And I'm sure we saw a demo, or the GIF. And Matthias improved it, and I merged it. Yeah, it was. I was talking about is published and has published, which is different. Fixing functional tests because one of the dependency decided to bump their version and whatever, so we had to bump it also, because the previous version they are using is as a security issue. So the package called Kler had the security vulnerability. It was a dependency of Jest, which was getting the latest of everything. So even without changing anything from Jest, it took a new version of Kler, which had some incompatibilities. So what we had to do was to use an alpha, because they are pointing to the non-vulnerable one only in the alpha version. The other solution will be to point directly to Kler with the specific version, but yeah, then we'll forget why we have this specific version. So I just bumped it to an alpha version, and it worked, so good. Update access controller to use set internal authorization AD. I will trust him, this makes sense. Fixing an error when reading serial type. So the fix I did earlier had an issue with an ref exception, so I fixed it. And right now there are two other issues, and one PR mentioning that there is still an issue, but I don't understand what's the issue. There is no description, so I'm waiting for that. Registering managed tenants permissions. Gabor found out that this permission was not registered, which means what? Which means it was never checked. Worst case, it will never have worked, but it was working because I assume everyone going to the tenant management was always using the admin account, which has all the permissions. Even if you ask for a permission, we'll say yes, it has it. That's fine, don't even check. Fixing vulnerability warning in themes. So I updated the agency and the blog theme to fix the vulnerabilities that were reported in GitHub due to npm packages. And I found a bug in the tags. So I fixed it. So now the liquid style and script tag use the src property, like the razor tag helpers. Okay, I changed the documentation. I think there was only one location where we were using one like this. It was only for liquid. So for script, both will work for some reasons. For liquid, now it's just working, but only one reference was using that. And also this change is updating font awesome to a 5.3 or something, which means that classes have changed. And I pasted a comment on Gitter. If you are using the agency, you will have to change your template to reflect that if you are updating to a new version. So you will see otherwise big squares instead of the nice icon, so you just have to use the correct class now. I changed it in the recipes, I believe, because it's working fine for me now. I also moved some things from local assets to not npm packages. Yep. And I found the bug here in the tag helpers to find the correct property. I think this is this one which had an issue. Yep. Okay. adding back shape display type alternate. So apparently in a previous commit, when I added more alternates, I removed one by mistake. So I added back. It was the least part one, the part dash shape type. This one is fixing OpenID application creations because it was missing this entry. When we changed everything from checkboxes to the custom control input, this one was lost. And it was failing on creation of OpenID application. Remove closing tags from my kill, so cleaning up the tags. Fixing prefix leaks in ContentPartDisplayDriver, a big bug actually, a huge bug. So the repro is that if you create any flow part, which will contain another flow part, like a flow containing containers, if you want to do columns in a flow. If the sub-element has a validation issue, then you lose all your widgets, and yet it will be published. So there is no more validation because it loses everything, and it says, oh, that's fine, let's publish it, and then you lost every content. And in a form is a container, contains also containers. So so actually in a flow part that you will add a form element, which is itself a container of other widgets, and then you will lose your form. I found the bug and fixed it. It was a prefix issue, and I explained how it works and why it works like this with this thing. That's it. And then Antoine, I see updated bootstrap slider, and in this case you see it's updating in the assets correctly. So this looks good, not the other one. But at the same time, I think I'm not even sure I ran a gulp build in the meantime. We need to check that. That's it. Questions? Good, good. Demos. Does anyone have demos? I think that David wanted to show Let's Encrypt.
I don't have much to show.
That's okay.
Like it's not done. Like it's starting to get done though.
I'm kidding. But that's good that you started working on it. I like it. Thank you. And that will be nice. So that, what else? What did I do that can be showed? I don't think that the autoroute part is simple. There is not much change here. The new themes, they are the same, just updated. Gulp pipeline, we already saw the changes. What else? No big feature actually, just bug fixing. Bug fixing updates, trying to fix everything that is broken. Just a reminder then that issues, milestones, beta 3. Only a few now, 4 of them. This one has a PR, and I helped Kevin also on this one. Oh, this one might be important. Let's see. Coming soon themes toggle form element not working in edit. Apparently JavaScript issue. We need to check. This one and this one. Just remember the sign. I asked Matthias to help also, and I think there is a PR also for one of these. I'll look at this afternoon. This one is important. So Kevin was trying to use Orchard in IIS with a virtual application, like a /foo, which then becomes the default tenant. You see, like /Orchard. And in this case, when you use / in the assets directly, it will be based on the root here. So it will lose the IIS application prefix, and it won't find the assets. So what it's doing in this PR is using / everywhere. So when you are in IIS, it will work. And let's look at that. And you see it's changing all the references to use /. The good news is that if you don't apply it, like if you are still using, even if you update to this version and you don't have all your assets using / but still using /, if you didn't have an issue before, you won't have an issue after. Because it means you are not using IIS or you are not using a custom application name in IIS, and then the / will still work. but now the recommendation will be that all the assets use // everywhere. And also, if you use // and you're not using an application in IIS, it will also work. So I recommend every PR from now on, even if this PR is not merged, to use // And then the next thing I had to help with was the resource manager, which also needed now to understand the // and to do it better, because before it was not handling that correctly. So I fixed the resource manager to do that, and I filed an issue to make it better, because the implementation is not perfect right now. It's using HTTP context accessor, and it should not have to use it. But I tried it and it works perfectly. That's for this one, this PR. And so if anyone wants to help on the remaining ones, please do so, and then we'll be able to merge and to ship beta 3. I think Kevin mentioned something that was, oh yeah, I don't think there is an issue, but apparently in Firefox it doesn't work. So if someone who has Firefox could try to go in the admin, apparently it's completely broken, or maybe the menu is broken. We have to check that. I filed an issue because I was playing with the, I don't know which feature yesterday. I don't remember on what I was working, and I filed an issue, mobile friendliness. It's not for beta 3, but I noticed. So I was playing with the Chrome emulator, well, the one that lets you change the responsiveness for different things, and I noticed, so when I go on a mobile format, you see the list of the blog. We should move the icons on the bottom to flow them, and the text will have better space. And then I went on the media just to see, because I know media is complex, and even if I go on the portrait, no, it's not portrait, it's what's called portrait, and what's the other? Landscape mode, thank you. You see it's overflowing on the right, and there is not even a scroll bar, and when you click, you see it's going on. So I assume we need to do something here also, and then I went to content items. Oh, I tried the menu, and the menu here is going far below, but there is no way to get to the menu like this. Maybe with a mouse it will work, but I went in the mode of a mobile, and then you could tap. It will simulate the tap, so I could not do anything. I could not even slide down to go to the menu, so it was not accessible. So there are some issues. It's not associated to beta 3, but I think there are important issues. So I filed this one not just for that, because there must be many other pages that don't work like this, but yeah, maybe we should do some review of every page just to see if it works correctly, or if there is anything to improve in this case in a responsive manner. We are using Bootstrap, but it's helping for many things, but it's not the ultimate solution. We need to follow some other nice principles. Okay, so I filed this just as a note, and I think that's it. Yep. Oh, another issue I commented on. I think it's very important. So while I was trying that, I was playing with this mobile emulator, and there was an option to throttle the bandwidth. And I'm like, okay, let's try on a low-end device. And then it was taking 10 seconds to load the CSS. Then 10 seconds to load jQuery, and then oh my god, it was super slow, like unusable. And like, what can we do? And then I realized that we actually don't have any compression middleware active. In the case of, well, if you are using IS Express or IS, you might have that provided by IS, but you have to configure it. But in the case of Kestrel, directly there is nothing. And Antoine had filed an issue on that. And I'm like, so we need that. And also what we need is to set the cache headers on the static assets. We don't have that either. So every request will get served by Kestrel, even for static assets. So that's super bad. And there should be very easy solutions for that. So I will try to that. It should not be that hard. unless someone wants to do that. But for the response compression middleware, it should just be one line in the feature to enable, and we could have it by default in the default recipes, and it could be maybe in the same module as the one that has response caching. We could maybe call basic middlewares, or I don't know, response stuff. And for the static files, it might require an option object to go through the static files middleware that are in the tenant thing, the modular tenant provider, I don't know what it's called, so that we can flow the options to the static file middleware that we use to register static files. And we might need to set some default options so that, like we did in Orchard 1, like 7 days, or I don't know, 1 year of static assets, and then we'll have it by default also. But so that we can still change it if we want. I will try to look into that, because I think it's important for perf in this case. Otherwise, the ones who host, like, if I take, let's see, showorchard.com. I also tweet about that. That will help me introduce that. So you see, these are Orchard Core websites, the 4 last ones, and there is a tag apparently. So I created a tag, a taxonomy. Sorry, taxonomy. So there is a Orchard Core taxonomy item which lists all the Orchard Core ones. I assume this is one from David.
Yep, that's theirs.
And maybe there's a link to that somewhere here. I'm sure it's still on an old version of Orchard, but that's okay, it works. And if you look at the but you're using Azure App Services, so maybe it will work for you. So you see here, this is from the CDN, from this one, for instance. You see, this one CSS, it's a 200 from disk cache. So it was cached correctly. Was it? How do I know? It says from disk cache, but it says 200. Or maybe maybe Chrome itself answered, well, maybe Chrome answered itself at 200. But I would like to see a 3 or 4, like no change or something like that. But no, maybe it didn't even go to the server. Maybe the system just. So maybe it works, and maybe it's done because it's using. No, it's server Kestrel. Is it on Azure App Service?
Yeah, it is.
So why is it saying Kestrel? It should say AIS, or ARR. Do I have a cookie for that? That's weird. Oh, it's even gzipped. So it must be AIS. Okay, must be maybe AIS is doing that. But that's gzipping, but that's weird. So who is modified? I don't understand how it's cached. Three or four. So the server is actually returning a 3 or 4 when the request goes through, so it must be AIS. Oh, if modified since, okay. And then what's the response here? Response headers, date, okay, tag, last modified. Let me do a Ctrl 5 to see. Oh, so we are not, no, actually it's not sending a cache, public cache header. What it's doing is the request says we have a version. You see, no, I did a Ctrl F5. So if I do F5, the request probably says if modified since that, because this is what Chrome has, the version it has. The server itself, without caching, says, okay, 3 or 4 because not modified, because locally it will, I assume, look at the date of the file that is on the server, and the server will say no, it doesn't change since then, so I can send you a 3 or 4, but it's not saying how long it should keep it apparently. So we still need to do something that will improve the perf. In this case here it doesn't matter, but for the general case it will matter. That's so. Also, you can now see that the shortcut has a tag with that. And that's what's going on. So I saw a question from Sotiris. NGINX or Apache server serves better than .NET Core on Linux. Well, I don't think Apache works with .NET Core, so use NGINX. At the same time, NGINX doesn't work with .NET Core, but you can use it as a proxy server to Kestrel. That's it. Maybe there is an Apache proxy server. NGINX is supposed to be faster than Apache. But from my experience, HA proxy is way faster than NGINX. I measure the perf of NGINX versus HA proxy versus Kestrel as a proxy service, not a caching server, not caching enabled, but just proxying, no caching. And when there is no caching, HA proxy is much faster than NGINX and a little bit faster than Kestrel. So if you want to create your own proxy server with Kestrel, you can do that. If you need caching, like edge caching using NGINX or static assets, for instance, to cache the things I just showed, like you should say, oh, everything that is under the root will be cached. Do you see that? Do you see that? You don't see that, but everything which is a static assets under that, you could say cache it on NGINX, and then it will help. But HA proxy, I don't think there's caching. In this case, use NGINX. If you just want to proxy resources, then use HA proxy. I still have issues making NGINX work fast just for proxying, no, without caching. But at the same time, it was just the max perf scenario where it's just serving like a static, well, some text without views and without database. So I was pushing the limits of the proxy. So even if you use NGINX without caching, it will still be much faster than what Orchard Core can provide. Sorry, so it should be still good. But yeah, HA proxy for just proxying. Very interesting. No questions? Did I have any topic? Let me see. Technical topic. I don't remember any new blog posts from anyone. Big design decisions either. Nope. Just focusing on shipping beta 3. Not based on times, but based on focusing on having something that is working fine, no big issues, and that we can be proud of shipping for people to use. So please take some bugs, or just test the new release and find some bugs or file issues with what you think should be improved in any domain. That will help. Good, then. See you next Thursday. If a car doesn't drive me over, something like that, which happened last week. Antoine, you want to say something?
What?
Yes. I'm still alive.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that happens. It's okay.
Jesus.
Every day, everywhere it happens. It happened to me.
Well,
I am currently redesigning my own website. So I integrated a new theme.
Wow.
And I'm trying to make a presentation of Orchard Core.
Wow. It's beautiful. Is it really Orchard Core or is it a static site?
It's Orchard Core because I did a project section.
Because you know, we still, by the way, we still need to change that. This is a static website. Okay, it's beautiful. It's the agency theme, but we need to change that at some point. So it's nice. So what you had a project, okay? I don't think the thumbnails are using the image sharp filters, right? They look like stretched, or the ratio seems odd.
I only set the width, I think.
Okay, but you see it looks like stretched. Okay, so discuss module, good. So sites module themes, how do you do that? Just JavaScript?
Yes, that's a portfolio and that's a JavaScript library.
Okay, let me see. You have tags in the HTML, and that will drive that on the client side, I assume.
Yes. The header is static.
Can't find it. Portfolio item. There, I can't find any metadata, but it must be there. Okay, good. So
yes, we have a small presentation.
where is the home page?
If you click on the icon AG,
I got it.
so at the same time, I'm trying to make Orchard.core.fr, and my idea will be to make Orchard.fr/try, and to allow people to create Orchard.core instances.
But there is already .NET. Benedek, what are you doing?
So it's not.
Sorry, what?
He's doing a /try, which lets you create new websites. Dude.
And I don't know, but it's not. Don't know why, but it's not working. There was a mistake.
So we talked about it like 2 months ago or 3 months ago when I did the SAS module. You are using that, I assume, and
I will. That's the idea. Yes.
okay. And will you delete them after some time, or right now they are not deleted? They are just live.
I think I will explain that each Monday you can create an instance and use it during the whole week, but the next Monday
that's easier. Okay.
Gets it completely.
Using workflows right now manually, I assume, but you could, ideally we should use the workflows to do that.
Yes. Yes. Just the connection thing to just to register people if they want, but it's not actually working now.
Yeah, maybe so you need also to change the title to, because you could use this theme, that's fine. Because we have a workflow bound to that, so you just need to change the workflow to create the tenant. And you can just change the text to say create your site, type your email, you will receive blah blah blah, and then it will work. Beautiful. Good.
And I don't know if I will use the orchardcore.sas module that you made, or if I will use that I will need to finalize to achieve the tenant workflow activity. The PR I started.
Okay, good. And when it works, then we'll move it to orchardcore.net. And that will be some, or to .NET if they want to host it, I don't care. Or you can keep it. But if it's under .fr, you should have it everything in French, so you should check the translation and everything. That's okay. Good job.
Thank you.
There's even a blog. Oh my god. /blog. Is that a blog or a tenant?
A blog.
Okay. You made archives using the query, the SQL query?
Yes, and I will try to make taxonomy. I use taxonomy. You see the first blog post. I used.
When you say the first, the top. Okay.
The F7 and CMS are taxonomy.
Did you do that?
I did. That's why I asked how can I have a page that lists items related to a taxonomy term.
You can do a liquid page that will call into a query, but the issue is that the taxonomy term, you don't have the CMS value in the database. This is still to be done. Maybe I should do that. That's not an easy issue. I talked about it a few weeks ago. It's not easy. And someone asked for being able to do GraphQL yesterday by querying. We have the index, but it's not plugged into GraphQL. It's just the reading the tags, the taxonomy items is plugged in GraphQL, but not querying by taxonomy term. There is a table though, so we can do SQL queries to do that. Yeah, this I don't know right now how to do that. Well, yes, I know. What's your issue? I don't. What's the issue with that? So if you create
that
oh, I see, because it's a different page. So if you had something like category and then cat equals, that would work because you just have one liquid page, and you could read that and query that. But being able to route like this, what we will need is not a liquid page, so it can't be content item driven because autoroute doesn't support this, but you could have a razor page that will still be themed, and in the razor page you could bind this thing.
Okay.
And then in the razor page you can do a custom query in SQL or using SQL, or call into a query from the management, but in this case there would be no point. You could just query in your razor page to do that. That's what I will do.
I also feel an issue because the layer rules, when you specify a URL, doesn't work.
It's bad.
To make a /blog.
Okay.
And it's not working.
Okay.
And in the home page, I'm trying to get some testimonials, and I add one from Bertrand.
It's not really a testimonial from Bertrand.
Yeah.
That's the issue. I'm not sure we can call testimonials from people who actively work on the project or part of the project. From people who actually build websites with it. Or maybe Bertrand was talking about Descent. Where is the testimonial? Did you ask him if it was Descent or Orchard? But yeah, you see that. Maybe ask people. Kidding. Maybe. Oh. Maybe we should ask people who ship their sites. Will even people like David. He's a contributor also, but he's building website as a business. So yes. David, Jeremy Cook, or Peter Davis, people like this.
Yeah.
Only if they say good things, because they might say, "Well, I don't have a choice," or blah blah, or I regret that choice, or that might be fine too. We need to improve, but yeah, they just you can ask them on Gitter. Carl Woodhouse also, because he's a rebuilding patient with that. That might be more interesting. Not that Bertrand is not interesting, but more valuable. You know, it's like, yeah. Don't ask me because, I mean, I'm working on that, so it's the best one, right? Okay, good. Perfect. Good job. Other questions? Comments? Where's the window? I didn't see anything here. Okay. So, see you on Thursday. Bye, everyone. And
bye.
See you on Thursday, or not next Tuesday, because it's Christmas, so there won't be any meeting next Tuesday. So the week after, otherwise. And usually when it's Christmas on a day, it's also New Year on the same day, right?
Yeah.
Oh crap! So I'll see you on some Thursdays if you want to join, or then in 3 weeks. And then happy holidays, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Happy holidays.
Bye.